Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day. Starting the video off with the most potentially insane news in a very long time. A drafted bill entitled "Keep Big Tech Out of Finance" has surfaced online, allegedly deriving from within the United States House of Representatives Financial Services Committee. The document's metadates show came out on the 12th of July. The bill's provenance is unconfirmed, but crypto news site The Block quotes an inside source as saying it is within the Financial Services Committee. The document reads, and I do quote, "A large platform utility may not establish, maintain, or operate a digital asset that is intended to be widely used as a medium of exchange, unit of account, store of value, or any other similar function as defined by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System," end quote. The bill allegedly goes on to define a large platform utility as a tech company that earns annual global revenues in excess of $25 billion US. Given that Libra is scheduled for hearings before the Senate Banking Committee on the 16th of July, that is tomorrow, and within the House Financial Services Committee on the 17th of July, the bill seems clearly designed to preempt congressional authority to take a decisive action on the issuance of Libra. So, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, this is probably the most insane thing in the entire world. I don't even know if countries are even allowed to reach this far. What it pretty much says, so here's another article on it. Here's the actual article from The Block, and here's the actual bill right here. What it says in no uncertain terms is that if you are a large company that makes more than $25 billion per year, according to this drafted bill, you are not allowed to, banned, barred from, cannot create anything that would be considered a medium of exchange, a unit of account, or store value, i.e. money. Anything, a crypto, you are barred from doing so because of what the governors of the Federal Reserve System state, which pretty much would mean, if this is indeed true, and they do try to draft this bill and get it into law, whatever the actual case might be, it would mean that a company as large as Facebook would never be allowed to create a digital asset ever. And this is why I said I don't know if this, if they are allowed to do this. If, this is simply a drafted bill that the people from The Block have found online. They said that they were given it by someone who knew about the situation, who knew exactly what was going on, blah, 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 blah. And this is the proposed thing that they're trying to do. It would make a lot of sense. I assume by the end of next week, we may have more information as to if this is going to be proposed, if it has already been proposed by sometime next week, or if they are going to try and make this a thing into law, because what Facebook is trying to do is entirely unprecedented. There has never been a company before who has even thought, or rather a company as large as Facebook, who has thought to try and create a medium of exchange or an account of value that would be able to rival the US dollar. And over the last couple of weeks, we've seen so much, I want to use the word angst and fear, from people within the United States in the government as to the possibility of Facebook trying to release something like this. We also saw, and not even Maxine Waters, it was about 7 other people as well who were calling for a moratorium to Facebook on account of Libra, pretty much telling them to completely stop it until the US government had more information about it. And this is why we were talking about it. It was very fascinating that the people from Facebook had launched their the Calibra Association, the people who are creating Libra in Switzerland, where the US has a reach, but their reach does not go far enough, which would then allow the people from Facebook to still maybe launch this, but maybe it wouldn't have all the power. I don't want to use the word power, whatever that it might have had in the United States. So tomorrow's the big day. It's the Senate Banking Committees tomorrow, and then the House Financial Services Committee on the 17th of July. I'm not expecting them to kind of go, I mean, what we've seen before for governmental things like this, especially when it comes down to cryptocurrencies, before in the past, it was very relaxed. The government didn't really care. They kind of just wanted questions. The ones that we had last year, they were mainly talking about Is Bitcoin going to be strong enough? How high can Bitcoin go? Is Bitcoin a threat to the US dollar? And it was more or less like a 50-50 thing. I don't think there's going to be any questions like that this time around. It's probably more going to be like, tell us what you're doing, how far you're doing it, how much money or assets will you have backing this, and exactly, not even if it's going to be a risk to the US dollar. They've proven it at this point. So on the actual document, if you scroll down, it's not in this paragraph. This one talks about large platform, a paragraph, Federal Reserve. It actually has it right here. It says the penalty. For those who are not looking at the screen, for the penalty for this, it says any large platform utility or financial institution that violates subsection A and B, which is above, shall be subject to a fine of not more than $1 million per day of such violation, and an action brought by the appropriate federal financial regulator. It's $365 million a year for violating this. I wonder, I don't think any major company would be smug enough to try and do something like that, but the fact that this has been proposed is a little insane. To be fair, we have seen stuff like this proposed in other countries. Other countries have moved forward with this. There was a lot of speculation earlier, and not only the podcast I was listening to, but also following other governmental leaders' announcements as to what they feel about cryptocurrencies, is if cryptocurrencies could be banned within the United States. The general idea or a feeling opinion was that kind of a no at this point, that they may be incredibly heavily regulated, but it probably won't be an outright ban, and any effort to ban Bitcoin is futile, as you can say that something is illegal, but as we all know, people will still continue to do things even if they are deemed illegal. And at this point, it looks like money is going to win out in the Bitcoin isn't going to be banned situation, because there's so much money behind Bitcoin and possibly even behind Libra. This is going to be very fascinating. I will definitely be covering this entire meeting that is going to be happening tomorrow. But yeah, I feel like that's illegal. I feel like you can't tell other companies, you can't create something. No, it probably might be legal. We know exactly how governments are. Anyway, without further ado, let's move on. Next up, here's some good news. The Republic of Georgia has exempted cryptocurrencies from value-added tax. Per the report, Georgia's finance minister, Nodar Kaduri, recently signed a bill aimed at regulating the taxation of entities that trade or mine cryptocurrencies. The bill entered into force at the end of June. The definition of decentralized currency that puts the bill forward is reportedly by the following. It says, cryptocurrencies are digital assets that are exchanged electronically and are based on decentralized network. The exchange does not require a reliable intermediary, and they are managed using distributed ledger technology. With the introduction of the bill, residents of the country can exchange cryptocurrencies for fiat currency without the transaction being subjected to VAT or value-added tax. Still, Kaduri pointed out that the Georgian lari will remain the legal tender in Georgia, and that, just like foreign fiat currencies, the country will not allow using crypto for payments. That's totally fine. A lot of these countries don't really understand that they won't have a choice at some point. So any time that a government says that we are either not a threat to them, wonderful. Please keep all of that going. And the second part is also whenever they take away certain aspects of taxation from cryptocurrencies, or even when they mention that cryptos are not legal tender within their country, sure. Give it a couple of years, especially when we see the world financial system begin to crumble. Once again, please watch the news, like the actual real news, the real financial news sometimes, to see exactly what's happening in the traditional markets, because it's not going too well. Anyway, without further ado, let's move on. Next up, that's kind of cool. Japanese authorities are investigating the impact of Facebook's Libra stablecoin. Cointelegraph Japan reported a few days ago. Per the report, Japanese authorities have set up a liaison conference tasked with investigating the impact of Facebook stablecoin on monetary policy and financial stability. The conference will reportedly consist of the Bank of Japan, the Ministry of Finance, and the Financial Services Agency and has already started meeting this week. The report claims that the objective of the newly formed group is to coordinate policies that would address the consequences of Libra's implementation on regulation, tax, monetary policy, and payment settlements. Unspecified officials reportedly noted that they hope that more tax and financial regulations will join the group. Given the broad impact of Facebook's project, Japan has taken the initiative ahead of the upcoming meeting of the G7 finance ministers in Chantilly, France on the 17th and 18th of July. I don't know the likelihood of Facebook or Libra being banned before it even gets started. I feel like this is where it's headed, but something tells me that it's not a possibility because of the amount of money floating around. I wonder what would have happened to Libra. So this is where we talk about the entire permissioned and non-permissioned crypto spaces. The fact that the people from Facebook announced this, 6, 7, 8 months before Libra is going to be launched has given regulators an enormous, this is all within the last 3 weeks, an enormous amount of time to kind of jump on their back and say, no, you can't do this. The fact that this is happening within every single country is also completely insane. I assume that during the G7 as well, there will be heavy discussions as to if Facebook or should Facebook or when Facebook does end up launching their coin. Facebook's in the news every single day. When we got first news about them doing this, I was like, okay, that's cool, let's move on. But no, they are, it's fascinating to see anyone be so scared of a digital coin, especially one that hasn't even been launched yet. But what it comes down to is that Facebook, and I don't trust them, but Facebook has been announcing all over the place on podcasts, on news, on different outlets, sources, wherever they can kind of talk about the new Libra initiative. They've been announcing that the project will be decentralized with the 100 different nodes and that they won't have full control over the network, as it were. And as time ends up going on, they will add extra nodes and people will be able to, the software will be open source, and therefore other people will also be able to build their own apps that will use Libra and other cryptocurrencies, but it won't be under the jurisdiction or fall under the control of Facebook, i.e., they say, I don't believe it, that they're trying to create something that is, what's the word? That would be similar to other decentralized currencies. And this is where I think that other governments are having a real big problem, because they don't see or declare that they see Bitcoin as a major threat because of the growth of the network is not as large as Facebook's already a couple of billion people. Anyway, the next couple of months are going to be ridiculous. I assume at some point the Libra news will slow down, but as of right now, every country's fighting back against it. I wonder what effect this would actually have on the price of Bitcoin should Libra get banned, but I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, let's see by the end of this week exactly what happens after these first two meetings, but let's move on. Next up, the leading Japanese exchange known as DMM has added support for XRP. The digital asset is paired with the yen as well as with Bitcoin. That was kind of the XRP news. I like talking about when other coins get listed or are paired with other things. And yeah, DMM launched sometime last year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, SBI was meant to be like a rival to them, or SBI was going to be like a larger exchange than them. But I think DMM, it's the one with that like golden woman who was like smiling as like a Bitcoin was in her hand or something like that. Well, anyway, they've added support for XRP, and you can trade it against the Bitcoin, trade it against the Bitcoin on their platform. And yeah. Next up, Weiss Ratings has updated its crypto rankings, giving EOS and IOTA an A for technology and adoption in addition to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Their report card says the top ones, or rather that got an A grade for tech and adoption, are Ethereum, Bitcoin, EOS, and IOTA. B plus, or the Bs, go to XRP, Cardano, Zcash, Litecoin, Stellar, and Neo. Weiss is also assessing the top digital assets by what it calls their risk and reward potential. Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that has earned a B plus based on its risk and reward, with all other digital assets at a C or lower. I feel at this point, Bitcoin should at least have an A minus. Give it an A something. It's probably the most likely, my opinion, probably the most likely to make it, as it's always in the news, at least right now. Yeah, wow, every other coin got a C. Wow. That's going to really annoy some people. As far as like the based on risk and reward, I don't know what the people from Weiss are doing with their spare time. Bitcoin got a B+. And the C's, so following directly after Bitcoin, as far as risk and reward, are Ether, Dogecoin, Burst, iOS token, Phantom, Litecoin, Komodo, Binance, and Aurora. Oof. Okay, let's move on. To kind of finish things off, this is also just starting a beginning with very, insane, ridiculous news. The third largest bank in the United States, known as Wells Fargo, has indicated that it no longer supports cryptocurrency transactions. The discontinuation of the service was revealed when the bank was replying to a disgruntled customer. The customer sent something fishy when the bank was with the bank when trying to buy crypto on Coinbase. The customer said, "Something fishy is going on with the bank, Wells Fargo. I can't buy crypto on Cash App or Coinbase. I tried to attach my debit card and it said card not found, and I just use it to pay my bills," end quote. Wells Fargo, the third largest bank in the United States, said, and I do quote, "Thanks for reaching out for us, or out to use. Unfortunately, Wells Fargo does not allow transactions involving cryptocurrency." I didn't know that that was still legal. I didn't know that banks were still doing that. I know that we had news that they were doing that in India and other countries around the world. I'm a little fascinated that they're still doing stuff like that within the United States. It could be, my opinion, Wells Fargo, while a large bank, is not as well known as maybe JP Morgan, so maybe they feel like they're a bit more threatened by Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies as people are trying to buy them. You have to understand that every single time that a customer, a banking customer, buys cryptocurrency with their account, that is less money that's in the bank, and there's more money that's in another system that the bank does not and cannot control. So it probably drives them crazy. We had information last year that there were a lot of banks who were stopping bank accounts and stuff like that, who were trying to use cryptocurrencies, but that seemed to have completely smoothed itself over. So if you are a customer of Wells Fargo and you are trying to potentially buy cryptocurrencies or have within the last couple of weeks, according to Wells Fargo, they do not allow these transactions anymore. There's so much I want to say, but I try to not even hold it back. The future is looking very bright for the cryptocurrency space. We will one day not have to worry about these institutions and platforms telling us that we can't buy things or that we can't do what we want with our own money, or that they don't allow it and therefore it cannot be done. I believe that we are in the final steps of governments and banks trying to fight us in any way that they can. A lot of this is happening behind the scenes, but it's still definitely a way for them to kind of stick their neck out and say that they're not allowing it, or therefore because they said so, we can't and don't have access to such things. Very fascinating always to take into account the things that are happening around the world. But yeah. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Mechanic, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Arthur Yaku, Minting Coins, Jim Gardner, Jeremy the Photographer, Tom Sucks at Basketball, and Sam Keeps Skipping Leg Day, Paxis, Vlad the Impaler, Cody, RF Dusty, Richie Rich III, Nick Kanaya, Set, Suna, Nicholas, One Earth, One Piece, One Love, Crypto Artist, Cole D, 3D, Clara T. Snowden, Jeffrey Ramsey, Amy Starsheen, Yasha Harari, Rai, singer-songwriter Mike, Savitz, Carl Birchenoff, Mohair Maroney, Crypto Joe, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, L. Doug, Brady Niels, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Adobo, My Keto Kitchen, Triple M and J, Janae Francis, Master Ventures in Thailand, and Professor Wally from Gun. Bot University, thank you all an incredible amount for your support at the moment. The crypto prices are not as dismal as they were earlier. Earlier, we saw cryptocurrency prices minus 15%, minus 21%. It looks like the wider cryptocurrency market is trying its darndest to move up in price a tiny bit. Bitcoin is currently at 10,600 US dollars. Earlier, we were at a Bitcoin of 10,100, 10,150. It looks like the market is trying to recover. Bitcoin and the wider cryptocurrency space do not stay down for that long. Other coins are still in the hyper red. That is to say, they are both red in US dollar price and red in Satoshis. We'll see where the rest of the day takes us. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.